Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the podcast with the Managed Service Provider Association of America. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, Audrey Frazier from Florida Business Consulting. Audrey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, we did a little bit of prep, so tell me the fun origin story between Florida Business Consulting and FlaBizCo.
It's a little embarrassing to say that I forgot to renew my domain, but that's exactly what happened. I forgot to renew my domain one year, and when I logged in to renew it, it was a fee of $17,000. And so I sat down and I J-lo'd my name into FlaBizCo.
There you go. It rolls off the tongue. That's a badge of honor, because that means that you were doing it right with the SEO originally, and like whatever registrar reevaluated FloridaBusinessConsulting.com as 17 grand. That's pretty high for a small business domain.
I'd happen to agree. Yes.
All right, roll back the clock and tell us, how did you get into this business? When did you start it, and what was going through your mind when you wanted to start the business?
Well, my career started in legal administration. So I have always been I started out as a legal assistant, paralegal type, that grew into an office manager role. I have always been the go-to person in the office to get things done, whether that be, business or the printer, things like that. In 2014, I was asked to do a website for a nonprofit that I was working with. I was already working with other companies doing, outside projects and whatnot. I think today they would call that virtual assistants. So I was already doing those sort of things. And so once I was hired to do that website, I made it official, and I just continued working with businesses, helping them in any which way they needed. And as a legal law firm manager, I am heavily engaged in HR compliance and financial reporting and things like that. So our clients are law firms and medical providers, real estate agents, people who are trusted with confidential information. And those people extend that trust to us to help them in their business.
Oh, absolutely. So we were talking what type of clients you like serving. I can hear that your early experience at law firms has transitioned over. That must give you, an inside scoop on the pains that they have at their business and where they need support.
Yes, I think so. I think, first of all, I have the privilege of working for one of the best attorneys in this area. And I was trained up in a very professional way. And that experience has served me well. I mean, I learned business compliance, business strategy, how to manage people, how to manage facilities, how to manage condo associations, clients. I mean, being the office administrator, you have to know how to make coffee, vacuum the floor, and engage with people who are only thinking about what their business is.
Yes, definitely. Tell us more about give us an example of one of the early clients that you had.
Well, one of my favorite, and we're going through some exciting times right now, is a medical clinic that I was a part of from the time that the idea was just an idea in the provider's mind. And we started with designing a logo, finding office space, hiring employees, getting workstations, designing the flow of the clinic. She has gone on to, her clinic has been very successful and she's growing. And we haven't touched on this yet, but during all of this growth that I had experienced, it occurred to me that it might be valuable to get a real estate license. And I didn't tell too many people about it. And I in the fall of 23, I got my license. And in Florida, in order to sell businesses, you have to have a real estate license. So I just thought it might be something handy to have, and it turns out that it is. And so I'm able to walk my customer through the entire process of designing a logo, having a business, coaching her through all of the pains and struggles of being a business owner and working within that business. And now we're purchasing new office space. and all of the projects that come along with that. And when any client gets a new facility, that's the best time to think about technology so that we can get it right to start. So I'm excited about that.
That's an exciting strategic maneuver because now you're hitting them, like you're making the initial relationship early on, and even for companies that you don't connect with, you only connect at the, like renting the office, purchasing the office phase. This is sort of your self referral. You're vertically integrated in their chain of needs. Do you get a lot of business this way through the commercial real estate avenue?
I do. I do. In fact, when all of my clients heard that I had become a real estate agent, they've all started to use me. And
Really? What
so
do you think the need is there? Like, is that just a coincidence, or are they like, how often do they feel this pain where they need commercial real estate services?
it's probably a coincidence. I think it's the timing in the businesses. Well, one business is a construction business that they've grown over the last 5 years. They just need more space to do to work on their heavy equipment. The clinic has experienced a lot of growth, and they need a new facility. All of those people also have friends and family. When you get started in the new business, your sphere is who your clients become. And so that's where the real estate business is right now.
Excellent. What's the next thing on your mind then? If now that you got, like, your core offering is the managed services, IT consulting, you went upstream a little bit for the commercial real estate addition to
Mhm.
the funnel. What's next on your chain of value to the clients?
I really want to, small businesses are governed by their budgets and not by their visions. And we cater to small businesses, and we're able to help them um, get the most out of the subscriptions and the services that they're paying for already. Most small businesses, for instance, use Microsoft, and Microsoft offers a lot of other platforms that are included with your license that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And
Hmm.
so we want to share with our customers there's ways for them to save money that way. A lot of our customers are looking to move from old servers to cloud-based servers. So we have a couple of projects going on doing that.
Cool. There's a standing joke in this industry that if there's a product that you like, definitely you're already paying Microsoft for it. 'Cause Microsoft has a product for like everything that you can think of, except no one knows about any of them, but you're
That's
already paying for it.
right, right.
Yeah. There's
And
even like we're doing this recording. We could be using a Microsoft product. We could be, but we're not. But that's a different thing. But that is a good service because, like, even myself as a business owner, I'm definitely overpaying for some subscriptions because
mhm,
inadvertently I'm paying for the wrong tier or I'm duplicating a service
mhm.
that another company is already providing me. So and like I'm a rather technical savvy person, I'd like to think. So I'm sure your clients have even more opportunity for budget savings there.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you've been in business now for 13 years? How many would you say? 11 years?
11 years now.
11 years. Congratulations. You just passed the decade mark. What's been the
Yeah.
same throughout all those 10 years and what's changed?
What has changed? So, my husband left his job of 20 years to make the jump into entrepreneurship with me, and he's joined our team. And I guess that's our change, right? That our team is such that he's technology and I'm consulting. So if you've ever had a client where they've called you and they need help with QuickBooks and they need to move QuickBooks from here to there and they have a question about that, well, the technician can only get you so far. And if you're working with a new employee or someone, it's helpful to have the consulting side of somebody who has the experience of how to use QuickBooks, what QuickBooks is for, the user side of it. And so he and I work well together in helping our clients, balance tech and consulting.
How's that emotional relationship evolved now that like he was working another job before? That's the entrepreneurial safety net. No, I'm also in a two entrepreneur household. it takes a certain type of personality. So now that you're both into it, you both took the leap. How's the emotions changed?
So it's been a tumultuous year or so. We talk to each other like we've been through a lot of therapy. I'm upset because you said this, and I don't understand why you said that. But we ultimately we have the client's best interest at heart, and I think that's what shines through to our customers, and why our customers are so willing to trust us with their businesses. Technology is the backbone of business, and that's an important trust to have from people, for which we are incredibly grateful.
Hmm. And no doubt, there's an often used saying that while we all think we're in the technology business, we're actually in the relationship business. No one really cares about the technology; they care about what the technology empowers you to do. And since you're the person on the other side of the Batman hotline, it's very much a relationship because they call you when they need help.
Yes. Hmm.
What's your favorite, client transformation, client success story that you want to share?
Um, when I started working for that law firm, the law firm had been in existence for a really long time, and their email addresses were Gmail email addresses. And
Mhm.
I walked in, and there were law clerks saying, "Can you email that brief to me?" Can you? And I just there has to be a better way, right? And so I think the transformation from taking a very prestigious law firm to having a server, having hosted service, having backups, having a professional website, having those things, I think I'm incredibly proud of that work.
Fantastic. Ha- don't tell us the domain. I was going to ask for the follow. Don't tell us that. That's great. That's that's a good example of we're 2025 now. The last 10 years have been a very transformative decade for technology at businesses, because now we're refreshing the entrepreneurial landscape where people starting a business now are very tech savvy. They're not as technical as you or I, but they're tech aware because their business acumen is being formed in 2025, where everyone's got smartphones. There's an app for everything. Most of all business services can be facilitated through the cloud, compared to 20 years ago where we're talking like phone landline on a desk and maybe a fax machine was the
Hmm.
foundational technology at a business. A very different era now.
Indeed. And like a server room in a new construction build out would, if you would have to have a lot of information on what that business is going to do, so that you could have the appropriate size server room. And now there is really no need for that.
Hmm.
It's
Tell us a
interesting.
little bit about how you've kept yourself in the game over the last 11 years. What keeps you grounded? How do you blow off steam?
So I get this question a lot. How do you do it all? Because I do own three businesses, and I am a real estate agent, but I do CrossFit. And I think the hard, intense workouts, I follow street parking. For anybody who wants to sign up for street parking, it's only $20 a month. Incredible value there. And the real medicine is that high intensity workout. And you don't feel it immediately after, but that's where the medicine is. And I think that's the only way I've been able to handle all of what I choose to handle, and handle it
Hmm.
well.
There's a large vein of entrepreneurs that go to the temple of sweat to get grounded. I consider myself one of them. You're a morning workout person, you said.
Yes, yes, I am.
How early are we
We're,
talking in the morning?
I like to get up between 4:30 and 5, and work out between 5 and 6:30. But it's so cold, so I have to move my workouts around my schedule during the winter, and then I'll get used to routine through the summer, and then it all goes through that phase again where I have to jump around according to the weather.
Nice.
But
I haven't done the like early bird. Like there's night people, then early. You're one of those early birds. You getting up at 4:30. What time you go to bed?
um, uh, between 9 and 10.
Okay, you're cutting it on you feel it. How do you keep that going? Because that's not enough sleep for me. But how is that working for you?
Sometimes I when the sleep deprivation really sets in, it causes emotional distress. And so if I find myself teary eyed all the time, I know I'm not getting enough sleep. And I do believe that sleep and recovery is very important. So, um, I used to try to go to bed between 8 and 9, and with everything I have going on, I just can't make it that early. So it's between 9 and 10, I still get up early and hit the day. So.
Nice. This is a healthy conversation to have, and I enjoy doing this with a lot of entrepreneurs because this is a endurance game. You're already 11 years in. This is an endurance game. We need stamina, and that comes from having the ability to reset. For you and I, it's working out, and then making sure we sleep enough because, like you're doing 3,000 days into this business, not just
Mhm,
300 days.
mhm. And it's I could easily bite into I can get this work done and work all night long, but I don't think that's good for the mind or body. I
Yeah.
think that it's much better to keep the routine so that so that you're always strong enough to fight the fight. If you stay up and burn the candles at both ends, you're going to have weaknesses.
Yeah. And then, you spurt and run out of energy, but you're 11 years into it. You're planning for another 11 years at least. It's a
Yes,
long-term horizon. Time is our most valuable weapon.
yes. As
Fantastic.
fleeting
Well,
as it is.
Audrey, thank you so much for joining us on the show and telling your story. It's great to hear what has changed and what hasn't, because a lot of MSPs have been in business for a long time, and a lot of our business has stayed the same. Like, it's still a relationship. People still need to have someone they can trust when they pick up the phone and need help, and that's what you do for your clients. Wonderful to hear your story. Thank you for joining us so much. You
Thank
can
you for
find
having me.
more about Audrey at flabizco.com, FLABIZCO.com. Audrey, Florida Business Consulting. Thanks so much for telling your story.
Great. Thank you.